Hey, 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 I'm Jack. This is Mael, and together we run Room Studio. And what we wanted to do was to show you a more experimental project that we've been doing. And it's basically it's based on the fact that Mael's in Paris, I'm in Bristol, and we wanted to create a shared space, like a digital space, which would be kind of a dream studio for us both to work in. And yeah, we're going to talk through it today. And if you guys have any questions, obviously just put them in the comments below and we'll get back to them. But yeah, is there anything I've missed, Mael? Is that good?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Lovely. So we're on the screen. I can see my face bobbing around. I can see you in the bottom right with some weird mask on your face. Talk us
Yeah.
through this website.
Yeah, so basically the idea is to have this 3D space where usually on those kind of websites you can move the camera around using your mouth. And we wanted to experiment a little bit and see if we could have this feeling of being inside the space. And so whenever I'm moving my head, the camera is following the movement I'm making. And I think it's a bit clearer when I'm at the desk, but basically, if I'm trying to look on the left, I just have to look on the left, right? And so that's the idea. And you have this feeling of being sitting at a desk more than looking at a scene where you are sitting at a desk, if that makes sense, right? So yeah, that was the idea. And on the on the bottom left, yeah, we do have you moving around, and it's because we also added a small music player right there, and we wanted to, I don't know, just have a little bit of fun. And I'm just gonna show you how it works, and maybe then we can discuss it. But basically, I can control the music using my hands. So let's just change the tracks. And I think, yeah, I can pause it now. So yeah, so that's the idea, right?
And if anyone just hears silence when Mael's doing that, there's music playing. So obviously open the link, try it out yourself, and then you can, obviously hear the music, because on that recording, we actually couldn't hear anything, Mael. You were just like,
Too bad.
but
I
that's
thought that we
fine.
were capturing the audio
No,
from
no,
the
no.
computer as well.
No, it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, you were just like boom, boom.
Impressive, right?
Yeah. So basically, that pauses the music, and we were like, "There's no sound."
Yeah. We can see at the bottom right the
Yeah,
track changing. That's maybe the only feedback they will have, but give it a
but you'll
try.
be able
And
to hear it. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
but I also think like something to say is that so let's get into how this has been done, because I think that the concept is we wanted a shared digital space that we could hang out,
Yeah.
and we were like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we had like this amazing space? And we both like listening to music while we work, and that's partly why we've chosen the songs we've chosen. But you can also click to go to the desk and then see these big speakers on the desk themselves. And these speakers are speakers that we looked at online, and they're really expensive. So we modeled them and chose them for our dream studio, because money is no object in the digital world. But the idea is that we both really enjoy like 3D interactive experience websites.
Yeah.
And we're playing with, I'm using Spline quite a lot, and Maya was like, you've got to try out Blender, and we wanted to do a project which we both kind of collaborated on. To be perfectly clear, Mael has done 99% of this project. All I tried to do was the speakers, and the speakers, they're two square boxes. It's not that impressive. But maybe what we can do is just zoom out, look at the scene that was created in Blender, and then understand how you implemented that in this 3D space. Because people watching might be like, what? Well, I was certainly, the first time I saw it, I was like, what have you done? Like, how does this work?
Yeah. So maybe let's go to Blender for that, right?
Yeah, let's just go into Blender and have a little look at the scene.
So basically, that's what the scene looks like in Blender. Yeah, it looks something like that. So the first step for me was to model the scene, obviously. We took a lot of elements that we used in the RUM Studio website. So it was actually quite fast to make. I mean, the desk, the computer, the chairs, everything came from the RUM Studio website except a couple of things. The guitar is just a model.
Which
I
neither of
downloaded.
us can play, right? Like, neither of us can play the guitar.
I can play the guitar, but I don't want to brag.
Dude, no way. I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah, yeah.
even know that. Okay, cool.
But yeah, beyond the point, right? And by the way, yeah, there's just a couple of small things I could. Well, let's not do that now. Right?
Yeah, that's fine.
So yeah. Anyway, the first step was to model the scene. So as I said, it was quite fast, especially since I feel like I took it was kind of long to make the RUM Studio website because I think we had this pressure to make it. I don't want to say perfect, but as good as we can. For this one, I just wanted to have a scene that is ready fast, and so yeah, it was an intuitive process, quite fast. And in the end, I'm very happy with the scene. I think a big part of it is just the shadows that we see with the leaves, the reflections on the floor, and yeah. So that was the first part. And just to show you, actually the shadows, it's just basically the plants we took from here that I duplicated and I'm using there. So that's the first step. Then what we do, and I will just open a new scene. On the website, to have those nice shadows, we are baking the textures, meaning that the lights we see are not lights imported in Three.js. Basically, we don't have any lights, we don't have any shadows in this scene. We are just using models and textures made within Blender. And it's quite easy to understand. So let's say I have a plane and a cube, right? Let's just add a light. And by the way, Jackie, if that's too long, just let me know. I will be faster. I don't know.
No, this is good. This is interesting. Yeah. I think it's really important for people to understand, like, because when you look at the final result, you're like, wow, this is like, how the hell do you get here? But actually, there's just a lot of different steps that you go through, from the big one being, first of all, model the scene in Blender. Then there's, I guess, export the scene correctly, or export the, oh, my owl.
Is this lagging a little bit?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. I think it's because you're probably doing Blender and Riverside's like,
Yeah.
export the scene correctly, or like optimize the scene correctly, and then there's linking it through Three.js to to the website itself. But basically, there's a lot of like little steps which seem quite intimidating, but actually there's kind of like
Yeah.
big like building block steps that when you get you're like, okay, I can handle this.
Yes, exactly. And ultimately, building 3D scenes like that in Three.js is really not complex. It's just repeating the same thing over and over. And in that case, it's just finding the right layout, the right composition, the right colors, the right lighting, and then exporting and baking everything. And I will show what I mean. Basically, what we want in our scene is to have those really soft shadows, right? And if we created this in Three.js, basically it would look something like this with very hard shadows, and that's really not the vibe we're going for, right? So what we do, and I will be fast, is that we create a material. Let's do the same thing for there, right? And I will create a texture, which I will call big textures. Doesn't really matter. All right. And if I take a look at those, I can see my UVs right there. And so what I will do is that I will take this, I will scale it down, position it like that, right? And by the way, in terms of scale, maybe I should do something more like that, right? And basically what I want is to create the textures for my models within Blender and then import them in Three.js. And I'm not going to go over the exact process because it's a bit boring, and that's something you can find online and people can explain it, I think, much better than I can. But let's do it very quickly.
While you're doing this, Mael, what I might do is just say how I understood baking is essentially you're exporting the texture, lighting. You're basically like creating an image from something that is 3D. And then how that works is you kind of wrap the 3D object with this baked texture in your scene online. So it's kind of like a pre-rendered scene, basically. Like all the
Exactly.
heavy lifting is done in Blender, and then
Yeah.
you're rendering. You've got a pre-rendered scene, so there's just an image that's overlaying all these materials, and it means that the computer, your GPU, doesn't have to be like heaving under the pressure of rendering this scene every single time you move your mouse. For example, there's like light bouncing.
Exactly.
It's not rendering in real time. It's
Yeah.
actually pre-rendered. So this whole baking process means that it's super quick to load in comparison to other tools which have like live rendering on the website. Is that helpful, Mael?
Yes. In terms of performances, it's not faster because we do have to import all of our textures. So in terms of loading, we do need to load a bit more than we would have if we didn't use that technique. However, it's much easier on the hardware, on the devices you are running the experiment of, because lights and so on in Three.js can be quite
Heavy,
demanding in terms of resources.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically it's done. In Blender, what we are looking at right now is the material preview, and so my scene is looking like that, right? And if I go into render, let's delete that and add some ambient light. we can see that I still see my shadows. I still see everything that I baked within my textures. And that's the process behind creating complex scenes like that. That's pretty much it. And then obviously when we are bringing everything in Three.js, then we need to tweak some values and try to optimize everything. But the base is very that simple, right?
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So you create a scene in Blender, you bake the scene, and then you've got 3D objects, you've got something that's optimized for the web. Then what? A
Then
simple
what?
question with a very complex answer, I'm sure.
You mean, what do I do to create the Three.js scene, or?
So then you go to Vercel, and then you actually like connect that with Three.js.
Yeah. So basically, what we're using here is Next.js, which is a JavaScript framework. So what we're doing basically is that we are creating a new website. It's quite a simple site, and the complexity lies in the Three.js scene. But then again, Three.js can be very easy to use if you are using it kind of as we're doing right now, with just baked textures, object like that, and movement camera. But I'm not so sure. Maybe we'll get that, but I'm not sure it makes sense to explain how to create the scene here, because it's quite
I'm not
complex,
saying,
right?
yeah. It's way too complex to explain. But I
Yeah.
guess I guess Mael's actually done a video about how to connect basically a 3D project to a website project using Three.js. So definitely recommend checking that whole video. And it's like a half an hour video, so it's complex. But essentially, there's like various different tools that need to talk to each other in order for a scene to be rendered on the web, for it to be mobile optimized, for there to be something that actually looks half decent. And this is why it's way harder using Three.js than Spline or something like that, because all the hard work is kind of done in a tool like Spline, but it's not as fast. And it means that you run into problems. So doing it like custom like this is a lot quicker, because you can determine what you have and what you don't have. You can, bake your textures, etc. But it is more complex.
Yes, so that is true, but I also think, and I mean, in that project, I don't feel like the technical part were the most challenging things about the project, especially now with all the resources we have with, AI, Cursor, or whatever tool you are using. I think having the right idea, concept, and just this overall sense to create an aesthetically pleasing website is actually way harder than, finding the concept and the idea is much harder than actually building it right now, I feel. And that's also why
Interesting.
I think at the beginning you said that, I've done 99% of the work, but I don't actually think that's true, because you were a big part of finding the concept, the idea, putting things into place. And the technical part obviously can seem a bit tricky if you don't know how to make that, but now with all the resources we have, it's very much doable by everyone with just a little bit of time, right?
Inspiring words from Mael. No, but I take your point. Like, there's insane amount of resources. There's a lot of AI slop out there, to use that horrible phrase. But yeah, I think with that, the doing is like, once you know where you're trying to get to, you can do it. but
Yeah.
it's trying to work out where you're trying to get to that's hard. I would say though that the part of the reason why we're even looking at like more experimental websites like this is because there's so many people creating quite regular websites using AI. And frankly, clients can create a website with a prompt. I mean, if we're like really boiling it down, like that is what they can do. Now, there's tons of complexity that's being masked by the simplicity of typing a prompt and getting a website. And it's not as easy to get the right website using, just an AI website builder. But I definitely think like we're leaning more and more into things that aren't as easy to do with AI. Because there's different tools involved and there's different skill sets involved. So that was part of the fun in creating a project like this. One thing to say as well is that I guess like this whole creating experimental websites is part of what we're trying to do with the studio, is to just create things for fun more and to play with stuff. And one thing that we really wanted to play with this time was MediaPipe.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about MediaPipe, Mael, and be like, what the hell is it? How is it working? In basic terms, maybe.
Yeah, so I will not go into technical part here because I'm not confident enough to talk about that, but I can talk about the process and what we've done so far.
Yeah.
So let me share my screen. We saw this really cool website the other day on LinkedIn, the one that you shared, where you could basically look around a scene using your camera, and I don't know, we got really excited over that, right? And so we quickly put together our own version of it, where we just wanted to see if we were able to make it work, right? And again, I mean, maybe I'm overexcited about that, but I think it's really, really cool that you can look around the 3D scene using just your head position, right? And then we also added this kind of control using your hand, right? Which I think is also really cool. But, it's a cool demo, but it's kind of pointless, right? And before moving on, I think this is my favorite thing, right? We are just mapping the face into the 3D space. Really useless at this state, but I don't know. I thought it was really cool. Anyway, and so that's what we played with. And since we knew we had those 3D spaces that we like, and I don't know. I got really curious to know what it would feel like to be able to actually look around the scene using my head and not only my mouth. And so that was really the idea behind it, right? And yeah, and I think one of the idea also behind this was we were thinking about showcasing the speakers, right? And the idea was to give users an idea of what the product will look like in real life, right? So yeah, we thought that MediaPipe was a good idea to create the illusion of being at the desk and having the speakers before you even buy them. And then the music video player is just a nice touch. And I guess that's it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing is that like experiencing stuff in real time, I think, is what we're kind of all craving a little bit more. There's a lot of I don't know. I've noticed that like people want in-person experiences more than ever. Festivals sales are like through the roof, and people are traveling to have like conferences and in-person experiences more than ever before. And I think part of that is because a lot of us are remote working and a lot of us are behind a desk and having kind of experiences that are kind of shown to us rather than interacting with and real-time immersion. So I think trying to create like digital experiences that do that is one step closer to being kind of there in real life. And so that's something that I think is really exciting about this, is that, you know, we've talked about various iterations of this website potentially having like a real-time digital co-working space where you could come in, sit down, and there'd be music playing if you got close enough digitally to someone in that space. Like if you walked to get coffee and there was someone else having a coffee, and then you could like start a conversation with that person, like in real time. And, you know, how exciting like MediaPipe is to basically kind of imitate real life and that immersive experience. So yeah, on that note, maybe we should talk about the various iterations that this website might go through potentially.
Yeah, I mean, we had quite a lot of ideas, right?
Too many ideas, man.
I think it can be also interesting to mention that we tried different ways of handling the music, right? Right now we are using our fingers, meaning that we have 5 tracks we can play using 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We did try at first to use this swiping gesture, where you could swipe left or right to change music, but we felt it wasn't as precise as we expected it to be. So yeah, I think the site already went through quite a lot of iterations. But I think the immediate next one is to add those different time of the day, right? We do want to have different lighting setup depending on what time of the day you enter the site, to kind of reinforce the illusion of having this real space that is evolving through time, right? So I guess that's the first step now for us.
Yeah. And also I think like just exploring a MediaPipe more, I think really excites us both. Like, what else can you create experience wise to make a website feel immersive? I just want to share the screen and show you guys. This was who Maya was talking about originally. So you see how my face is being scanned, and then obviously as I move my head, I'm looking at the space. Something that's kind of interesting as well is basically this is like a big 3D box. And I think it works really well because you can see all the different angles of that box. The lines make it really, really clear that you're moving around. So we talked about that and how exciting that was potentially. But you can see in like an e-commerce experience, you know, for example, if you had a pair of glasses and you could put them on your face and then move around to basically see how they looked on you, that's like a very real potential example of how this could be used in an e-commerce environment, for example. So that's kind of cool. I mean, yeah, absolutely mad things with 3D worlds. And yeah, we're kind of getting into a whole other level of website when we're looking at this type of thing. And I'm not sure it's exactly the same as what we've been talking about with, you know, website stuff. It's more like VR and AR experiences, but still super exciting to explore. Something else to say is that what we want to do is to write more articles from this type of stuff. We want to do have an area of the website called the playground where we do whatever the hell we want to make. We just make something. I'm currently learning Blender, so hopefully things will get more exciting there in terms of making things. And Mael is so good at learning different things and just adapting things, using the power of Cursor and Vercel and Three.js and also Webflow. So what I'm trying to say is there's more coming. Is there anything else we got to say, Mael, before we end this vid?
No, I think we're all good, right?
I think we're good. Apart from the calamitous stopping of the recording when my computer packed up. But I think we're good. Cheers, everyone. Thanks for watching if you got this far. And comment below if you guys have any questions about any of this stuff. We will be making more content about all of this. Ciao, sayonara, bye.
Thanks,